One of the most shocking aspects of the Radeon RX 7600 is its memory configuration. The card will have 8GB of GDDR6 memory across a 128-bit bus, which is half the width of the RX 6600 XT's bus. This means that the RX 7600 will have a much lower memory bandwidth than its predecessor, which could limit its performance in high resolution and high detail settings. However, AMD may have a trick up its sleeve to mitigate this issue. The RX 7600 will also feature AMD's Infinity Cache technology, which is a large on-die cache that can boost the effective memory bandwidth by up to 3.25 times. This could help the RX 7600 overcome its narrow memory bus and deliver smooth gameplay at 1080p and even 1440p resolutions. Another surprising feature of the RX 7600 is its stream processor count. The card will have 2048 stream processors, which is the same number as the RX 5600 XT from 2 generations ago. This may seem like a downgrade from the RX 6600 XT's 2048 stream processors, but there is more to it than meets the eye. The RX 7600 will have a much higher base clock than the RX 5600 XT, at 2.1 GHz versus 1.56 GHz. This means that the RX 7600 will have a higher compute performance than the RX 5600 XT, despite having the same number of stream processors. Moreover, the RX 7600 will benefit from AMD's RDNA 2 architecture, which offers improved efficiency and features such as ray tracing and variable rate shading. These factors could make the RX 7600 a formidable competitor in the mid-range segment. The RX 7600 specs are shocking not only because they are different from what we expected, but also because they imply a very aggressive pricing strategy from AMD. The card will likely be cheaper than the RX 6600 XT, which launched at $379. Some leaks suggest that the RX 7600 could be priced as low as $249, which would make it a very attractive option for budget-conscious gamers who want to enjoy the latest games at decent settings. The RX 7600 could also pose a serious threat to NVIDIA's GeForce RTX 3050 Ti, which is rumored to launch soon at a similar price point. The RX 7600 could outperform the RTX 3050 Ti in raw performance and power efficiency, while also offering more VRAM and better ray tracing support. The Radeon RX 7600 is shaping up to be AMD's nightmare for NVIDIA, as it could disrupt the mid-range market with its shocking specs and price. The card could offer an excellent balance between performance and value, and appeal to a large segment of gamers who are looking for an affordable upgrade in the current GPU shortage. The RX 7600 could be one of AMD's best moves in recent years, and we can't wait to see how it performs in real-world scenarios. The RX 7600 is not the only new card in the $299 price range. NVIDIA has also launched its GeForce RTX 4060, which is a direct competitor to AMD's offering. But how do these two cards compare in terms of performance and features? Let's find out. The RTX 4060 is based on NVIDIA's Ampere architecture, which delivers a significant boost in efficiency and performance over the previous generation. The card has 3,584 CUDA cores, 112 tensor cores, and 28 ray tracing cores. It also has 8 GB of GDDR6 memory running at 14 gigabits per second on a 192-bit bus. The card has a base clock of 1500 MHz and a boost clock of 1725 MHz. The card has a TDP of 170 watts and requires an 8-pin power connector. The RX 7600 is based on AMD's RDNA 2 architecture, which also brings improvements in power and performance over the previous generation. The card has 2,560 stream processors, 80 ray accelerators, and 8 GB of GDDR6 memory running at 16 gigabits per second on a 128-bit bus. The card has a base clock of 2,100 MHz and a boost clock of 2,400 MHz. The card has a TDP of 160 watts and requires an 8-pin power connector. Both cards support PCIe 4.0, HDMI 2.1, DisplayPort 1.4a, and DirectX 12 Ultimate. However, there are some key differences in the features that they offer. The RTX 4060 supports NVIDIA's ray tracing technology, which enables realistic lighting and shadows in games that support it. The RX 7600 also supports ray tracing, but only through DirectX ray tracing, DXR, which is less optimized and more demanding than NVIDIA's solution. The RTX 4060 also supports NVIDIA's DLSS technology, which uses AI to upscale lower resolution images to higher resolutions with minimal loss in quality. This allows the card to run games at higher settings and frame rates without sacrificing image quality. The RX 7600 does not have an equivalent feature to DLSS, although AMD is working on its own version called Fidelity FX Super Resolution, FSR, which is expected to launch later this year. In terms of performance, the RTX 4060 has an edge over the RX 7600 in most games and benchmarks. According to various reviews and tests, the RTX 4060 can deliver around 10% to 20% more frames per second than the RX 7600 at 1080p and 1440p resolutions. The gap widens even more when ray tracing and DLSS are enabled, as the RTX 4060 can handle these features much better than the RX. For example, in Cyberpunk 2077, the RTX 4060 can run the game at around 60 frames per second with ray tracing and DLSS on at high settings and 1080p resolution, while the RX 7600 can barely reach 30 frames per second with ray tracing on at medium settings and no DLSS. So, what does this mean for gamers who are looking for a new graphics card in the $299 price range? Well, it depends on what you value more: performance or features. If you want the best performance possible at this price point, then the RTX 4060 is the clear winner. It offers faster frame rates, better ray tracing, and DLSS support in most games. However, if you don't care much about ray tracing or DLSS, or if you prefer AMD's ecosystem and drivers, then the RX 7600 might be a good option for you. It still offers decent performance in most games, especially if you tweak some settings or wait for FSR to launch. It also consumes less power and runs cooler than the RTX. Ultimately, the choice is yours. Both cards are great options for gamers who want to enjoy high-quality gaming at an affordable price. But if you want to avoid AMD's nightmare and get the best bang for your buck, then you might want to consider getting the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4060 instead of the Radeon RX 7600.